we've been talking about the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference. But, Rob, over in the East, which is kind of the JV, Boston actually having a little trouble. I wouldn't say trouble, but they're only up 5 at home in the closeout game, game 5 against Cleveland. And you've heard it on the updates, Rob. Cleveland, just about everybody's out. Donovan Mitchell, Karis LeVert, Jared Allen. And it's 90-85 Boston. But the Knicks are playing the Pacers in the other series, and the Knicks up 3-2. And, Rob, Jalen Brunson has just been phenomenal. Neither you nor I think he's a superstar. He may become one. We're not ready to give it to him yet, but he is certainly having a historic series. In this series, after scoring 44 last night with 7 dimes, Rob, he's averaging 32 points, 5.8 assists on 48% shooting in this series. In the playoffs in general, his numbers are about 35 points a game. So he's having a terrific postseason here. And here's what I want to know. We all know that a couple of years ago he was in Dallas, right? And he was the Mavericks, Rob, would not give him a 5-year, $55 million contract. He ended up getting $100 million with the Knicks over 4 years, I believe it was. But still, not paid like a superstar. And Dallas, to think what they could have had is just crazy. Now, look, they've got Kyrie Irving, and they got a good chance. Most people think they get at least to the conference finals.
That's a blunder, though, on their part.
Yeah, because they're paying Kyrie more than twice
Chris,
as much.
Right. It's not even the. It's obviously the talent blossom even more, but the amount of money, 55, is like not. You could have signed him and moved him if you wanted. You know what I mean? Like,
or better yet, signed him and added, more pieces around.
Or I'm just saying, if you wanted to move him, like you still could have done that. Like he was a valuable piece at $55 million.
For the Knicks, Rob, he got 4 years, $104 million. So here's his numbers, Rob, with the Dallas Mavericks. All of these years were with Luka. So his first year, he started sparingly. His last year in Dallas, he was like a full-time starter. It's kind of part-time starter his first year, off the bench the next 2 years for the most part. But anyway, 9 points a game as a rookie, 8 points a game his second year, 12.5 points a game his third year. And in his final year in Dallas, Rob, 16.3 points a game. In the playoffs, he averaged 21.5 points. And that's when, remember, Luka, I think, was out a few of those games, and Brunson kind of emerged like, oh, this guy's got a package on him, and he's doing some damage. And so here's what I want to ask you, Rob. Is Jalen Brunson's play this season, and even last season, he averaged 24 points a game. This season, Rob, he was 5th in the MVP voting. Probably going to be second team All-NBA. I had him on my second team All-NBA. So are his achievements in New York an indictment of Luka Doncic? Because Luka was there with him, and you saw none of this from Brunson.
Yeah, it's an indictment that maybe, he stymies other players because of his dominance with the ball, Chris, and what he does. And you know what? I mean, Kyrie's had some great games there, Chris. But are the 2 9-point duds in this series, is that an indictment? Or
I don't think that's an indictment on Luka at all.
I'm just saying,
Kyrie.
Yeah, like maybe just not being aggressive. But my point is that sometimes someone playing with somebody, it could be the same way that maybe the Knicks found out that they don't need Julius Randle. Like Julius Randle maybe stymied Brunson a little bit as well. I'm just saying, when you start to look at people and why they're doing what they can do and what they're able to accomplish without having somebody with the ball. I think that there's a case that can be made.
I
That's
think
fair.
you make sense. Look, it's no secret Luka Doncic is ball dominant.
Right.
And I think that's a weakness. I think that's in my Jordan versus LeBron debate, one of my criticisms, I guess, of LeBron is that he's too, in his prime. He's not so much as much now. But in his prime, he was too ball dominant. And when one guy's dominating the action, the ball, and making the decisions for everybody, and, he's going to shoot or put the ball in the hands of the guy that's going to shoot, I think that can limit some of the players. And I think it's hard to win that way. And I think that's why, LeBron's had a hard time winning championships, Rob. 4 is great, but it's in 21 years. And a lot of them have been, or 2 of them at least, were really hard to come by. Right? The Warriors where you come back 3-1 and the Spurs, when Ray Allen hit the big shot in game 6. And so I think with Luka, it's similar. A lot of people compare Luka, Rob, to James Harden. Obviously, he hasn't won a championship. Now, came close. We got to be fair to Harden. The year, he and Chris Paul were up 3-2 and Chris Paul gets hurt. Harden couldn't close out against Golden State. But they did come close, but obviously never got over the hump.
Right.
And I do think, I think Kyrie, Rob, is able to play with Luka and excel with Luka. And he was able to excel with LeBron because Kyrie is unique in that for a guy that has his bag, and his bag is one of the greatest in the history of the game, and can create his own stuff, he also, Rob, is a great catch and shoot player. And that's the difference. He is a great jump shooter. Brunson needs the ball. You watch the Knicks, Rob. Brunson's got the ball in his hands all the time. And so with Luka, he had to kind of be off the ball, and that's just he's not going to shine that way. And I think this postseason, Rob, for Luka, this is kind of a litmus test. I've said, I don't think you win championships that way. I think they need to figure out how to play more 5-man basketball. Now, they've been better and in part because Kyrie can be that second guy off the ball and still get his 25-plus points. But if they don't, and I don't think they can beat Denver, Rob. I think they could. I would pick Minnesota if they meet Dallas in the conference finals, but I think Dallas will have a great chance to win. But I don't think they have a good chance to beat Denver. And if they don't get to the finals this year, Rob, they might look at it as, hey, we got close. We just need a tweak here or there. But I would think that, I just think when you move the ball, when you get everybody involved, Rob, that's just a better brand of basketball. And, you look at the great teams, Rob, the Showtime Lakers, it was 5-man basketball. Even though you had the great Magic Johnson at point guard. The Bird Celtics, same thing. Jordan, Rob, he shot a lot. But that ball was moving, and Jordan wasn't ball dominant. He didn't dribble out the clock a lot. He did earlier, he had the ball in his hands more before Jackson got there, Phil Jackson. And then they started winning when they started, popping that ball around. Steph, obviously, Golden State. The Spurs, who gave the Heat so much trouble. A lot of ball movement. Denver, Rob, even though Jokic is obviously, the one that makes everything happen and his plays are running through him, he doesn't hold the ball a lot. He's giving it up quickly, little handoffs and screens or passes. And I just think that if Luka wants to win to the level that his talent says he should, Rob, if they don't, get to the finals this year, I think that's some type of offense Dallas should really look at instituting. I do think Brunson's somewhat of an indictment on Luka.
Yeah. What if they lose this series, Chris? Would that change your mind at all or no?
If Dallas uses this series? Yeah. No, it would be what I'm saying. Like, I just think that they need to figure out a way to kind of not be so Luka-centric. He's going to be your best player. He's going to be a leading scorer. And the Nuggets are, Jokic centric, but still the ball, everybody's touching the rock. The ball
and
is
he
moving.
and he, you know what, Chris? He gives up the ball if somebody's open.
Absolutely.
He does. No, like
Yep.
if
He is not
somebody's
ball
open,
dominant at all. Even though he's
Nah.
touching it on every possession, Rob, he's not ball dominant. He's getting rid of it quickly. And this is the thing. When you see Michael Porter Jr. going off or KCP or Jamal, you don't think, wow, this is odd. Or wow, they taking a lot of shots. That's how they play, and that's fine. And it was the same thing with the Birds and Magic teams, and that's why I compared Jokic to them. And yet, if it was one of LeBron's great teams, Rob, or Dallas, if somebody other than Luka or Kyrie's going off, or with LeBron, if somebody else was going off other than him or maybe Wade, it was a bit surprising. It was a bit like, wow, look at, because you were used to seeing one of those two kind of do everything. And so I don't think it's an indictment on Luka's ability and talent and greatness, what Brunson's doing, but I do think it could be an indictment on his style of play. And I think it would be something that Dallas should try to fix, because he's in year 6, Rob, and there'll be a point, maybe some people might think we're already there, where that's the only way he can really play.
And Chris, just some numbers real quick. Brunson, his usage rate, 36.5 in these playoffs. For some context, Jordan in his career's usage rate was 35.5 in the playoffs. And Luka's career playoff usage rate, Chris, 37.5.
Who's?
Luka. 37.5.
And
so in short,
rate,
there's no way that Luka and Brunson can coexist.
To play together.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
36.5 and 37.5.
That's one of the indictments of this generation, or really the previous generation of players. You have so many ball-dominant guys, and it's hard to put ball-dominant guys together. Wade and LeBron both ball-dominant. It worked because they were just both so great. And Wade did step back the second, third, and fourth seasons, to try to win, and they did win too. And usage rate, Rob, also takes into consideration shots. And that's why Jordan's usage rate is high, because, like I said, he did shoot a lot. Nobody would say he didn't. But he didn't dribble. He didn't dribble the air out of the ball. And that's the difference. That's a lot different. Shooting a lot is a lot different than dribbling the shot clock down and then making a play. So that's why I don't think Jordan's usage rate is the similar, I know it is numerically, but in essence, I don't think it's similar to like Jokic or Brunson now or any of that. So